we turn in our Bibles now to Romans chapter 3. Paul has just told the Jew that having the law does not justify a person. It is the keeping of the law that justifies one. That uncircumcision really has no value in just the ritual itself. But it is circumcision has no value. It is the circumcision of the heart, spiritual circumcision, that God really counts. Therefore, if a person is really walking after the Spirit, though he may not have had the physical rite of circumcision, still God counts what is in his heart. So, if circumcision doesn't really do anything for me, if having the law doesn't do anything for me as far as giving me a righteous standing before God, then the question would naturally arise, and Paul brings it up in chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage then doth the Jew have? Being a Jew, what advantage is it? If circumcision doesn't make me righteous, if the law doesn't make me righteous, then what advantage is there in being a Jew? Paul said, much and in every way. Now, though he said much and in every way, he only gives us one advantage here in the text. And this one advantage that Paul names, firstly, or the most important advantage. The word first is there used as often in the New Testament to express the first or most important way that a Jew has an advantage is unto them were committed the oracles of God, or the word of God was committed unto them. Now that is a tremendous advantage. The advantage of having the Word of God. And never underestimate the value and the advantage of having the Word of God. God committed unto them His Word. And in so doing, they kept the Word of God with great care and with great accuracy. Thus, we owe a tremendous debt to them for the way they have preserved so carefully the Word of God and brought it to us as God gave it to them, as pure from error as is any human document, or as any human document could be. When a person was hired as a scribe to copy the Scriptures, this, of course, was considered a great honor. It was a sacred trust. They held the Word of God very sacred. And rather than copying the text by words or by sentences, they would copy letter by letter. And one would copy and another would check his copy. In the copying of the Scriptures, they would not allow any erasures, any strikeovers, any changes. If a mistake was made, they had to begin all over again. Now, that is not talking about a page. That's talking about a scroll. The entire book of Isaiah was written on a scroll. And if on the end, the last chapter of Isaiah, if on the last word they made a mistake, rip up the scroll. Months of labor tossed out, for they would not allow for any mistake at all. That is why when the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, It was such an exciting thing to Bible scholars because among the scrolls that were found there in the Qumran cave was the scroll of Isaiah, which was 600 years older than any complete copy of Isaiah we have. And thus there was an intense interest in comparing those copies of Isaiah with the Dead Sea Scroll, because now you're making a quantum leap of 600 years earlier, closer to the time of Isaiah. And of course, the fascinating thing was that there was not one significant change in the text. Unto them were committed the oracles of God, and they kept those oracles faithfully, recorded them faithfully, and passed them on to us. They had such a high reverence for the name of God that whenever they wrote the word God, the Elohim, or the El, they would wash their pens, wash their hands, and then dip the pen in fresh ink to write the word Elohim. So did they reverence the title of God. But when they wrote the consonants that represented the name of God, in writing the consonants, before they would write them, they would go in, take a bath, change their clothes, and then take a pen, dip it in fresh ink, and write the consonants YH, VH, those consonants that represented the name of God. There were no vowels written on these consonants because they did not feel that a man, even in his mind, was worthy of pronouncing the holy name of God. So they took the copying of the scriptures as a sacred trust. And they realized the advantage that was theirs in having the word of God given to them. Unto them was given the oracles of God. They were committed to them. Now, what if some of them did not believe? For they did not all believe. They were apostate, many of them. Shall their unbelief make the faithfulness of God without effect? If man is unfaithful, does that mean that God is then unfaithful, or the faithfulness of God without effect? God forbid. Though some of them did not believe, God will still be faithful to them as a people. Let God be true, and every man a liar, as it is written, that you might be justified when you speak, and might overcome when you are judged. Now,